Oh, so I can't believe I'm saying this, but Ramsdale, I mean, goalkeepers are never exciting, but I think for Ramsdale, I'd again put him as... My name's Rich. Welcome to Chasing Green Arrows. This is the source meter. And of course, don't forget to subscribe below. For me, Che Adams, I'd have to put him as cold. While I like him as a player, I just feel like with they've got 4 players they can play up front if Brozier's back. And you just can't be confident they get, which ones are going to get 90 minutes. So while the fixtures may be hot, I think Che Adams for me, he's a cold. I'd be looking to avoid Southampton strikers if I could. With Diaz, I'd still have him as hot. Probably even bordering on super hot, just because, City are the best defence in the league. I know the Chelsea defenders have taken the limelight in recent weeks, especially the last couple of game weeks. But City, and especially Diaz over Christmas, where he's going to be nailed on, he's a great pick. He really is. I'd definitely have him as a hot pick. And he's one I would not be selling this week. I've got Tony as super hot, purely because that fixture run he's got. I know his recent points have been disappointing and quite cold, but the fixtures are incredible. And I mean, Norwich especially. If it wasn't for Salah, we'd probably even be talking about him as a captain option. So Tony, for me, I'd have him as super hot. He's not going anywhere in my team, and he's currently my vice captain, actually. I'd have Lowton as ice cold. While he's a great enabler, maybe for your substitutes bench, I wouldn't want to be starting him, especially against Chelsea. So for me, Lowton is ice cold as a starter. If you've got him in your squad, I wouldn't be selling him, for example. I'd happily bench him. But yeah, not a starter for me. So for Zaha, this was a difficult one. I'm putting Zaha as a medium. He's all right. Like, if you've got him in your team, he's on penalties. Palace's fixtures, they're on and off. But he is the talisman for that team, and especially a team where they're still integrating players like Elise. So some weeks Elise might start, then he's being benched. You've got Edouard playing up front, then he's on the wing, Benteke in and out. Zaha's probably a good way to go in for a nailed player. And, on penalties. So for me, he's a medium. I mean, he could push hot, but I think that would be pushing it a little bit. Trossard, I would actually put in the hot category. Although it's a borderline in between medium and hot. Probably I prefer him a little bit more than Zaha. He can be a frustrating player to own, but with those Brighton fixtures turning, I'd happily go for him. So yeah, as a punt, he's quite high up on my list for this week for midfielders. Oh, so I can't believe I'm saying this, but Ramsdale, I mean, goalkeepers are never exciting, but I think for Ramsdale, I'd again put him as hot. Obviously, that performance, one of the best saves I've seen in a long while, he made in the Leicester game. I mean, you're not going to be selling a goalkeeper, and potentially, there's some people that might still have Raya injured. I've seen a few people going in without a goalkeeper. So for that reason, he'd be right up there with Sanchez as, a goalkeeper to look for if you're shopping for one. But like I said, goalkeeper's never a sexy pick. So I wouldn't be, doing a -4 for him or anything like that. But he's surely going to keep a clean sheet against Watford this week. Okay, so Iwobi, I'm going to just have to say ice cold. Purely because, I haven't even considered Iwobi in my FPL team. There's so many good midfielders to be looking at, and I don't even think he's in the top 3 at that position for his own club, maybe even top 4. So for me, he'd be ice cold, I'm afraid. So with Maddison, I'd probably go for cold. I just think there's so many better midfielders available to us at the moment than Maddison. Don't get me wrong, on his day, he's a brilliant player to watch. And I just think you can't be sure he's nailed. The formation at Leicester can change, week to week. They've obviously got a lot of good attacking players. I think Iheanacho can play in that, that number 10 role, for example. So for me, yeah, I wouldn't be going near Maddison. So Ben Rama, it pains me to say it because I do like him, but I think this is another... I'm going to go cold. I think the fixtures have turned the fixtures are clearly turning for West Ham. They're getting a lot harder. And I think from West Ham, the only player I would consider now is Antonio. So Ben Rama for me is a cold. I don't even think he's the best midfielder at the moment in that team. It's probably Bowen now, after I think it's 6 returns in 6 or something like that. And he takes corners, for example. So yeah, Ben Rama for me, he's now cold. I mean, maybe later in the season we can look at him again. I think for now his limelight's done. So that's my take on the source meter. And if you disagree, feel free to comment below. But it's more difficult than it looks.